fallacy of absolute skepticism. Our most essential learning competency for this afternoon is for you to realize that the methods of philosophy lead to wisdom and truth. And for this lesson, I am particularly leaning on the Cartesian method, which I will teach you later on towards the end of our discussion. Okay, so this will be our milk. So let's begin by launching this poll. Pakisagutan yung poll natin, ano? I hope you can see it now. The question is it possible to live in a world with only fake or counterfeit money? Yes or no? Wala pang points yan, ano? Pero that's the same question na ibibigay ko sa inyong written work later. Pero sa ngayon, wala pa tayong points dyan. I just want to have the feel kung anong isasagot ninyo. Is it possible to live in a world with only fake or counterfeit money? And then you can change your answer later as we progress in our discussion. Because this question is definitely related to especially the fallacy of absolute skepticism. Okay, so we begin by this question. How many beliefs do you have? Of course, you don't need to answer. No one can count their beliefs. So sobrang dami, no one can count it. Too many to mention. But as you think of this question, I want you to think of your beliefs, particular beliefs or specific beliefs that you have. And I want you to qualify those beliefs if you can. I want you to qualify them. Now, our beliefs are our map of reality. Map of reality. Parang compass yan din, parang compass. Because they guide us through the day. From the opening of our eyes as we wake up to the closing of our eyes as we sleep, we are guided by our beliefs. Our beliefs also are the lenses through which we perceive the world. The way we interpret things, the way we accept things, the way we react to things, those are influenced by our beliefs. Sabi nga, there is nothing more important about us than what we believe. Kaya lang, philosophy, of course, philosophy will not easily buy that claim. Philosophy, being the love and pursuit of wisdom, at some level, will try to qualify those beliefs. Kaya nga pina-qualify ko sa inyo kanina because ang isa sa mga problem dyan, because maybe we have false beliefs. We have false beliefs. At some level, we all want wisdom. Yan naman talaga, kaya nga tayo nag-aaral, we all want wisdom. No one wants to wander in this world as a fool. No one wants to become fools. No one wants to be victims of false beliefs, especially about important matters in our life. We don't want to be misled by counterfeit values that can lead to nothing but misery. We don't want that. Because of this, philosophers have always suggested that it is important for us to examine our beliefs. Examine our beliefs. Kaya nga, it's imperative also that we ask the question, are what we believe in justified? Are they true? Are they capable of giving us good guidance in life? Since they serve as our maps, they serve as our compass, they serve as our lens. Are they capable of that? Do we have among our current beliefs real knowledge? Real knowledge of what? Real knowledge of the world around us and real knowledge of ourselves? Or wala? Nakastuck lang tayo with nothing better than a mere opinion. By the way, opinions are not knowledge. Let us clarify it. A mere opinion is not classified as knowledge. So it matters that we examine our opinions. Now, philosophy, again, tries to validate this. We try to answer this question. And in fact, we try also to prevent having these false beliefs. Kaya nga, yung question din na kailangan natin pag-isipan, how can we avoid the false beliefs that might steer us wrong and even derail our lives? In short, how can we resist erroneous opinion? How can we resist erroneous opinion? Kahit mahalaga ang beliefs, ano? Again, it is crucial at the outset that we all have an enormous number of beliefs about all kinds of things, even those things that we have never even explicitly thought about, those that are in our subconscious mind. So that's also the things that we need to examine. Of course, beliefs are important because our decisions most of the time is based on our beliefs. Kaya lang dahil may problem tayo, we have erroneous beliefs. We have false beliefs. And these false beliefs lead to erroneous opinion. Eh kung ang belief what we do in this world is a result of what we believe, what we believe are false beliefs, anong klaseng action kaya yung nagagawa natin? Anong consequence naman nun after that? We have false beliefs. Again, all of us. No one is exempted. No one here in this session is completely infallible. Diba? Sometimes you are absent-minded. No? Tanggap lang tayo. Hindi lang absent-minded, ano, nakakatakot din passive. Tanggap lang tayo ng tanggap without even examining what we receive. Sa philosophy, hindi yun pwede. Or baka naman, dahil nga tanggap tayo ng tanggap because of our passive learning, mga misinformation na pala natatanggap natin. In the social media, there are lots of misinformation. At sa sobrang bilis ng bigay ng information, it's very difficult to pause and to think. Am I right? Tanggap na lang tayo ng tanggap, basa na lang tayo ng basa, oo nga na lang tayo minsan. Kasi hirap na mag-isip eh. Bakit? Ilang segundo lang may bagong information na naman nalalabas. It's difficult. Kaya nga philosophy will teach us to pause. And because of those misinformations, ang tendency, we draw false conclusions. Tapos share pa natin ulit. Those are the problem that results from false beliefs. And for me, one particular thing will be self-deception. Self-deception. The ability to believe what we want to believe. The ability to believe what we want to believe, regardless if those beliefs are justified or not. Diba sometimes, itong tendency natin, tayo, normal sa atin ito. Makikinig lang tayo sa gusto nating madinig. Diba? Sometimes kahit mali na yung sinasabi natin dahil ayaw natin pakinggan yung kabilang panig, hindi na tayo makikinig, nakafocus lang tayo dun sa alam natin, sa pinaniniwalaan natin. It's very dangerous. The ability to believe or to listen to what you want to believe or to what you want to listen to, ang tendency natin, we will hide in the veil of lies because the truth is very uncomfortable and very unsettling. Sabi nga nila, no, truth hurts. Ang tawag ko sa tendency ng self-deception ay vampirism. Vampirism. Para tayong vampires who are afraid of the sun. Diba? Parang yung mga may self-deception, they are afraid of the truth. They are very uncomfortable, nakakapaso, nakakasunog. So why will I go out in the open, no? To expose myself to this very hurtful thing? Ayan. So self-deception. Ito rin yung sinasabi natin last week na delikado. Darkness is ignorance of your own ignorance. That's self-deception. Now again, how can we avoid these false beliefs that might steer us wrong and even derail our lives? How can we resist erroneous opinion? Now, philosophers suggested the ideal of knowledge. The ideal of knowledge. Having said that, of course, we want our beliefs to be true. Kanina, kasabi lang natin. We want our beliefs to connect us to reality, to give us a clue on what is really happening in our world and in our own lives. We don't want our most important beliefs to be mere opinion, kakasabi ko lang ulit, and we want them to constitute real knowledge. But what is knowledge? If there is this ideal of knowledge, it's important to ask the question, what is knowledge? Knowledge in this case, as philosophers suggests, is attainment concept. attainment concept. To elaborate on that, I would like to give an analogy. Ayan. For those who are playing basketball, alam niyo kung i-correct niyo kung baka may mali akong masabi, ano. Hindi ako masyadong marunong, pero this is a good analogy. What is the aim of playing basketball? What do you want to achieve in playing basketball? Rainier.
Ano po, mag-shoot po ng bola dun sa ring.
You want to shoot kasi
Para magka-score po.
to score. To score. So your aim is not simply to shoot. Kasi baka na-shoot mo siya sa 24-second violation, or baka na-shoot mo siya na nag-foul ka, or baka na-shoot mo siya na nasa out of line ka, it will not count. The very aim is to score. Kasi your score will determine whether you win or not. So to score. In basketball, we shoot in order to score. Shooting is the activity. Scoring is the attainment intended. So in the life of the mind, we apply now, we believe in order to know. Believing is, in a sense, the activity. Knowing is the intended attainment. Kaya lang kagaya na sabi ko kanina, you can shoot a basketball and not score a basket. Di ba may mga certain instances na na-shoot mo pero hindi nag-count ang score. You can believe something and not thereby have knowledge. So knowing is not just simply the same thing as believing. Kaya philosophers have this traditional analysis of knowledge that says knowledge is not just believing, or believing will not get you immediately knowledge, but that knowledge should be justified through belief. That's how we are going to define knowledge, justified through belief. Once your opinion is made or is congruent with this knowledge, your opinion is a justified through belief. It's not a mere opinion. It's a different thing. So knowledge justified through belief. And having said that, merong dalawang necessary condition para yung knowledge ay makamit, so that we can meet knowledge. We can have or gain knowledge. Number one condition will be belief. Constant. Belief is number one. The second condition is truth. First condition, kaya justified through belief. First condition, belief. Second condition, truth. Because knowledge is built on true belief. Knowledge is built on true belief. Philosophers insist that in order for a state of belief to qualify as knowledge at hindi mere opinion, there must be a link, a connection, a tie between the mental state of affirmation and the state of reality. What's in the mind and what exists in reality, which makes that affirmation true. Furthermore, this link must be the right sort to properly justify our having our beliefs. Simply put, let's define now truth. Kasi we are pertaining to one of the elements, or one of the content or conditions of knowledge, which is truth. Let's define it. What is truth? Truth is just like how I described it earlier. Truth is adequatio rei intellectus, the conformity of the mind and reality. The conformity of the thing and the intellect. The thoughts in the mind should conform to the reality of the world. This is the traditional view of truth, which is believed for thousands of years until the modern philosophers deconstructed this. Okay, so ito yung commonsensical definition of truth, and this is what we are going to use. So when someone says, for example, when someone says, today is Tuesday, and we are going to talk about knowledge, wisdom, and then truth. Yan. Siyempre, you will think first, is today Tuesday? May conformity ba sa mind ko sa reality when I say, today is Tuesday? Yes or no? May conformity o Yes o wala? Ang nasa mind ko today is Tuesday. Is today Tuesday? Yes or no? No. No. Thank you. So therefore, I'm not telling the truth. Tama? I am stating something that is false. My statement is false. Because today is not Tuesday. Kasi kahit sa panig ng mundo, hindi Tuesday ngayon. Maaaring may part ng mundo ngayon na Thursday pa lang, going on Friday, but definitely not Tuesday. But definitely the Philippines, it's not Tuesday, it's Friday. So one should ask oneself first before accepting any statement. Tingnan natin kung mayroong grounding. Kung grounded ba ang argument sa truth. Again, truth is the conformity of the mind and reality. Kasi pag naka-ground sa truth ang argument natin, it makes it more credible and difficult to refute. Wala ka na magagawa. It's Friday ngayon. I-refute mo pa? You cannot refute that because that's the fact. It's Friday. It's not Tuesday. Sa social media, ang dami-daming mere opinions that are not grounded on truth. We cannot say, etong medyo nakakatakot, medyo victim din ako dito eh. Okay, let them express their opinion. It's their privilege. As a expression of their right to express and their right of free speech. Tama, sige. Kaya lang, sa reader, sa nakabasa, pwede nating sabihin na we will not accept all opinions as true. Tama ba? Kasi hindi lahat ng opinion, kagaya na sinasabi natin kanina, grounded sa truth, grounded sa justified true belief. They are mere opinions. They are not true. Probably, they seem to be true, but they are not really true. So that's what we should be careful, especially in the social media and kahit nga ngayon nagkasalita ako dito, you must be very careful. Sabihin ko social media lang, hindi pati sa akin, baka may sinasabi na ako dito na hindi grounded sa truth. Hala, delikado. O baka yung mga teachers natin ganoon, o baka yung mga essay na ipapasa sa akin ganun din. So again, think first. Now, there is this opposition to that truth. There is this opposition to that truth. At hindi lang yung truth ang ino-oppose nito, it is seemingly the denial of knowledge. But before I discuss about absolute skepticism, babalik lang tayo dito sa medyo modern, present time. Kasi this is the most prevalent ideology in our time. We can be victim of this. The philosophy of relativism. Relativism is almost the same as absolute skepticism. They are the same roots and hindi sila bago, although yung generation natin ngayon ang pinaka kumagat dito sa opposition to truth na ito. The philosophy of relativism. Ano yung claim ng philosophy of relativism? Again, ang pinanghuhugutan natin kanina pa ay ang difference ng mere opinion at ng true knowledge. Knowledge is justified through belief. Opinion is just mere beliefs. They are not justified. They are not rooted in true beliefs and truth. So, ang opposition, ang mindset or ang perspective ng generation natin ngayon ay relativism. Relativism claims, although may certain tama naman sa relativism, but in general, relativism claims that all so-called truth is relative. Ano ibig sabihin nun? That there really is no absolute truth, meaning what is true for me may not be true for you. What is true for you may not be true for me, therefore it's okay, and our truths are equal. Both our truths are good. Both our truths are valid. The problem is, justified true belief ba yung pinaniniwalaan mo? So there can never be an equal opinion or an equal belief, especially in opposing values or opposing ideas. Yes ako, no ka, pareho yung tama. Saan ka nakakita ng ganun? Relativism says both are good. Kaya nga pagka nakarinig kayo dyan na opinion ko to, wag niyo akong pakialaman. Itong opinion ko, ito ang tama. Wait lang. Sigurado ka bang tama? Baka hindi. Tapos sinabihan mo na, oo nga, sige, opinion mo yan. Itong opinion ko, tama din to. Naglolokohan lang kayong dalawa. That is called perspectivalism also. Kasi the perspectives differ, the viewpoint alleges, and one is as good as another. But notice the problem. I-refute na natin si relativism. Notice the problem with the mere statement of relativism. The mere statement of relativism is, there really is no such thing as absolute truth. Again, the statement of relativism is, there really is no such thing as absolute truth. Any observation? Walang absolute truth kasi yung truth mo, madaming truths pero walang absolute truth. Hindi pwede, baka yung truth na yun ay hindi justified true belief. Truth lang yun based on your own criteria, based on your own standard. But it is not really the truth. So again, the statement of relativism, pwede natin gamitin to refute relativism. Ang sabi niya, there is no such a thing as absolute truth. Any observation about that statement? There is no such thing as absolute truth. Anyone? Julie Rose, go ahead.
Kasi po, yung statement po that, di ba, there's no absolute truth. So, parang,
Yes.
yung mga truth po pwede pong mabaligtad in any angles. Saan po may bagong discovery po like that?
That's a different thing. In terms of that, in Indian relativism, for example, hinold as truth prior to Copernicus, although sabi nga natin, even in the history of in the history of physical sciences, kahit before the time of Copernicus, may mga philosophers and natural thinkers na nagsasabi that it is not the Earth the center of the universe, it is the sun. Kaya lang because of the prevalence of the Aristotelian philosophy, until Copernicus, ang pinaniniwalaan ng mga tao noon, it's geocentricity. That kind of fact can change. But it is not the absolute truth. That facts are part of truth. And these facts can change. So pinapalitan yan because of discovery, because of correction in measurement, correction in observation. Okay? So naging heliocentricity. And then napalitan din, it's no longer just the center of the universe, it is just the center of the solar system. Because na-discover ulit natin that our universe is not simply what we can see. Meron pang mas malawak pa, sa nakikita natin. So definitely that will change. So it's a different thing. It's not relativism. So continue, Julie Rose.
Pass na po.
Pas ka na, hindi pa, baka yung point, again, the statement, ang sabi ng mga relativists, there is no such thing as absolute truth. There is no such thing as absolute truth. We will refute relativism by means of their statement because their statement is problematic. There is no, sabi ng relativist, then nasasabi ng absolute skepticism, ay basahin nyo. Absolute skepticism is the denial that knowledge is at all possible. There is not and there can be no such thing as knowledge. Medyo negative nga lang ang construction niya. Okay? But relativism, in their mere statement, there is no such thing as absolute truth. What is the problem with that statement? There is no such thing as absolute truth. Anyone? Kasi yan din ang gagamitin nating refutation sa absolute skepticism later. Especially, we will be using the refutation of Aristotle. Aristotle will refute absolute skepticism. The same. Hindi ko nga alam ba't binibentang-benta pa rin ng relativism ngayon kahit na-refute na yan paulit-ulit. There is no such thing as absolute truth. Yes, napansin ni Judea. Paano po nila nasabing there is no such thing as absolute truth? Wala nga pong absolute truth. So paano natin parang paniniwalaan yung statement ng relativism? To put it in other version of it, it's self-contradicting. If there is no such thing as absolute truth, there is one thing that is absolute truth. That is, there is no such thing as absolute truth. They are refuting themselves. But it's self-contradiction, self-contradictory. Walang absolute truth. Pero yung statement na there is no such thing as absolute truth, that's the absolute truth. Therefore, there is an absolute truth in that case. So they are refuting. And later, I'll elaborate in absolute skepticism. So let's continue. Ang pinagmulan niyan, relativism and absolute skepticism, itong mga sophists. And during the time of Socrates, ito yung mga kalaban niya intellectually. The sophists, kaya yung sabi ko sa inyo nung orientation natin, they are self-proclaimed wise men. Kaya galit na galit si Socrates sa kanila. And aside from that, they are relativists. They are proponents of absolute skepticism as well. Kay Socrates hindi. May absolute truth kay Socrates. Sabi ni Protagoras of Abdera, man is the measure of all things that they are, and of things that are not, that they are not. Man is the measure of all things that they are, and of things that are not, that they are not. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Man there, notice, universal grammar, walang pinatutungkulan dyan na gender. So man is the measure, ibig sabihin tayo, no? But it is singular, it's not men. Man is the measure of all things that they are, and of things that are not, that they are not. That's according to Protagoras of Abdera, a sophist. Ano ibig sabihin niya? This will be the doctrine of relativism and absolute skepticism. Man is the measure of all things that they are, and of things that are not, that they are not. How can you interpret it? Rainier?
Sir, ano po? Teka. We decide po what is truth, what is going to be truth, and what is not to believe. Kumbaga, as a human po, we are the determiner of the truth and the false belief po.
Alright. Pero i-personalize mo I. It's not we.
Okay po.
Kasi relativism, we have different truths. Okay. Ayan. So, correct.
Magkakaiba po tayo ng perspective. Ganun po.
Okay. Kaya I am the measure. I am the standard. Sa'yo, ganun din ikaw din. Sa sarili mo, I am the standard. I am the measure. Exactly. Sabi ni Mikaela, we are responsible po sa mga pinaniniwalaan, hindi po natin, isa rin yan na pwede. And although totoo naman na we are responsible, regardless if we are believing in relativism or absolute skepticism or not. But the point is, we are the standard. When we say we are the standard, no matter how false your beliefs are, since you are the standard, since I am the standard, I have the say whether this is true or not. I am the measure of what's wrong and what's right. Anong sense pa ng argumentation kung ganun pala? Kaya nga tayo nag-a-argue kasi magkaiba tayo ng pananaw, magkaiba tayo ng pinaniniwalaan, magkaiba tayo ng pinanggagalingan, magkakaiba tayo, for example, ng mga evidence na nakuha. At kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng argumentation to decide sino yung mas may valid statement, sino may evidences na dala-dala that are sufficient enough for the claim. Pero kung ikaw ang standard, para saan pa yon? If man is the measure, if I am the measure, if you are the measure, then no one can be wiser than the other. Because all of us are right, and it cannot be. And one's claim is always the standard because there is no objective basis of what is true. But that's the problem. We cannot be the measure. Because yung measurement na gagawin, baka ang measurement, ang mineasure, false belief. So the standard should go beyond individual perception and opinion. Diyan papasok si absolute truth. We cannot be the standard of what's right and what's wrong. I cannot be the standard. There is something transcendence, goes beyond my individual perception and opinion. Yan yung ano natin ngayon, yan yung nakikita natin ngayon madalas, especially sa laging social media, kasi yan talaga tayo exposed. Kahit sa news, kahit sa mga TV. Yan na ang pinapakita, relativism. That good and right depends on the person. It doesn't follow. We cannot be the measure. Absolute or general skepticism, idamay naman natin sa relativism, constitutes the denial of the possibility of any knowledge at all, as in negative. Nowhere, okay, sige lang. Nowhere does the skeptic present a single argument for the impossibility of knowledge in general. They cannot. Instead, ito yung fallacy nila. Next week, makikita natin itong fallacy na to. Skeptics or relativists present a series of arguments challenging a particular knowledge claim, and they expect that the sum total of all particular skepticism will lead us to accept general skepticism. Hindi. That's not the case. That's a fallacy. We cannot seriously doubt or criticize our conceptual framework as a whole, for example. We cannot criticize our opinion as a whole if it is the only one. We may revise or question a part of it and retain some parts, but we cannot question every part of it at the same time. We can question one opinion or one conceptual framework only in terms of a second opinion or second conceptual framework. Kaya lang pag ginawa ng skeptic yan at ng relativist yan, they would be appealing to the correctiveness of one of the two conceptual framework. At kapag nag-appeal sila sa correctiveness ng isa, ibig sabihin may isang tama, may isang mali. And any appeal like that would make the argument self-contradictory. Kaya nga argument sometimes nila, begging the question na. Circular fallacy, paulit-ulit. Hindi na siya natapos. The skeptic's position, again, or the relativist's position, pag sabi ko skeptic, I'm talking about absolute skepticism. Kasi mamaya may healthy form ng skepticism. Absolute skepticism or the absolute skeptic's position or a relativist position is self-contradictory because they are assuming the very thing that they are trying to disprove. Aristotle said, when the skeptics claim that every statement is false, then, at ito yung same structure ng kanina. If every statement is false, according to Aristotle, then at least one statement would be true. And that is, every statement is false. But if there is at least one true statement, then it is a self-contradiction to say that every statement is false. Minsan mahirap kausap ang mga skeptics, by the way, ang mga relativists. The whole idea of carrying a discussion or conversation with them is also self-contradictory. Kasi in order to do so, the skeptic or the relativist has to assume that we exist bilang kausap nila. That language exists. That we understand or know what he is talking about, for example. And there are commonly agreed upon things. This is basic. There are commonly agreed upon things and presuppositions necessary to all discourse. skeptics and relativists try to disprove everything. Again, so what's the point of discussing? What's the point of dialogue? What's the point of argument? When you argue, you argue about something, about the correctiveness of your argument, and you are appealing to something that is true, something that is being denied by the relativists, something that is being denied by the absolute skeptics. Self-refutation. Ingat tayo, kasi minsan ang mga namimita sa social media, ganyan ang pag-iisip. Tignan nyo to ha, balikan natin, hindi ko to sinama kanina. Ayan. Kailangan i-distinguish natin between the two. Kasi baka i-claim mo na truth yung sinasabi mo, kaya hindi pwede magkaroon ng dalawang truth eh. Kasi baka nasa doxa ka lang. Nasa mere opinion ka lang. Your statement can be doubted. Your statement confuses your thought and also confuses the thoughts of those who read or those who hear you. Between two opinions, etong pinakatama, si episteme. Because it is in adjunct or it is connected to reality. It is difficult to doubt, indubitable, cannot be doubted, or if you can, it will be difficult, and it is certain. Remember, the goal of philosophy is certainty. It is certain. If it is not certain, question it. It is a doxa. So therefore, there can never be two opposing opinions that are both true. There will come one that is true, and definitely the other is false. Do not be deceived. Not all opinions are equal. Not all opinions are equal. Not all claims are justified through beliefs. Kaya matrabaho. Ito na yung step. May solusyon dyan eh. Huwag kayong mag-despair. May solusyon. Kasi pag nire-discuss ito, pati ako feeling hopeless eh. Ayan. May solusyon. The solution is the healthy skepticism. Kaya lang matrabaho ito. Simply doubt. We defined doubt earlier as the state in which the mind suspends its judgment. Suspension of judgment. It's just like saying, teka muna. Wait. Now, this healthy skepticism, methodic doubt, it is by René Descartes, a philosopher and mathematician, the father of modern philosophy. Sabi niya, number one, suspend your judgment. Kapag may nakita kang opinions, may sinabi sa'yo, may facts, ngayon pa lang, no, I want you to suspend your judgment. Nalimutan ko sabihin sa inyo to eh, when we start philosophy, suspend your judgment. Ano yung analogy niya dyan? Sabi niya, if you are given a box full of apples, do not assume that all apples in the box are fresh apples. Just like our beliefs and the facts presented to us, we must first suspend our judgment because we are not sure whether those facts and beliefs that we have are true or fresh. Suspend our judgment. Number two, ito galing sa akin, wear your philosopher's hat. Kung si Steve ng Blue's Clues may thinking chair, nung una ko napanood ng Blue's Clues, akala ko yung upuan yung nag-iisip kasi thinking chair. Pero ang ibig sabihin para nun siya umuupo para makapag-isip siya. Tayong mga philosophers, meron tayong philosopher's hat. And kapag nasuot na natin yon, what we need to do is to examine each apples. Examine each beliefs, examine each facts presented to us. And then, how can we do that? By removing first the apples from the box. We will examine each one and return the fresh apples in the box, throw and discard those that are rotten. So it is important that we become somewhat doubtful, somewhat skeptic, so that we may begin the process of philosophizing, of thinking. Remember, philosophers question appearances. Things are not always what they seem. They are not easily swayed. As philosophers, we are not easily swayed and convinced by anything. We do not immediately draw conclusion. O, di ba pag nag-scientific method kayo, STEM tayo, no? Pag nag-scientific method tayo, diretso ba agad sa conclusion? No. Kaya nga ang scientific method, by the way, ito yung pinanghugutan. Actually, Descartes invented the scientific method. It was René Descartes through his methodic doubt. Kasi yung data, examine each apples, that's gathering of data, gathering of evidence before we can even draw conclusion. We shouldn't immediately draw conclusion. Stop for a while and think. Ito yung binigyan ko ng emphasis kasi nga ito yung hindi na natin nagagawa because of the very fast information na meron tayo ngayon. Ayan ang downside ng technology. Although ang ganda kasi hindi na kagaya dati kailangan mo nang maghintay ng matagal. Ngayon alam mo na immediately. The problem is nalilimutan natin yung isang aspect na kailangan nating ine-exercise. Yun yung pag-iisip. Yeah. 'Di ba? Pansinin mo, mamaya may bago na naman. O, natabunan na naman yung dapat mong iniisip. Hindi ka na nag-isip. Ano ginagawa natin yun? Tanggap na lang tayo ng tanggap. Passive na lang. Kaya nga tawag ko sa generation natin ngayon, nagiging generation of irrationality na. Sinabayan pa ni relativism na dinedena yung truth and knowledge. Hindi wala nga, irrational nga. So we must be very careful. Healthy skepticism. Doubt. Kaya nasabi ko ba yun, Rainier? Nung first meeting, nasabi ko pala, always doubt. May mga bagay na hindi kayang i-doubt. May mga bagay na hindi dadaan kasi even Descartes will tell us, not everything can be doubted. But there are aspects of things that can be doubted. And I am pertaining here to opinions, to some beliefs that we have. We try to remove them and examine them whether they are fresh or rotten. Diba? We come to think. Okay, so that's our lesson. Sir. Is it possible to live in a world with only fake or counterfeit money? Now, analyze the question. Is it possible to live in a world with only counterfeit or fake money? This was a question posted by Gilbert Ryle, a philosopher, in opposition or in refutation of absolute skepticism. Anong pinapatungkulan dyan ni Gilbert Ryle? For Gilbert Ryle, there is absolute truth. If there is absolute truth, fake or counterfeit money can never be real or true money. Therefore, is it possible to live? May nagsabi kanina, may nagsabi na pwede naman yan na lang ang gawing totoo sa world na yon. Pero nag-ascribe pa din tayo sa opposition. There is again truth. So for Gilbert Ryle, the answer is no. No. It's impossible. Kasi paano ba natin na term, for example, na fake or counterfeit yan? It's always because there is a standard truth in terms of this money. May authentic money. Na iba yung material, iba yung authority sa fake money. Yung fake money pwede mong gawing totoo, pero it is only a shadow of the real money. Kung shadow siya, fake money, nasan yung totoo? Asan yung totoo? Wala. O di impossible na mabuhay tayo sa isang mundo na may fake money pero walang totoong money. With only counterfeit or fake money. Parang it is impossible to live in a world na puro evil lang ang meron at wala yung good. Kasi evil is only the shadow of the good. We can only tell something that it is false only when we know something that is true. Allow me to read this. Nilagpasan ko ito kanina. Ay, asan na yun? Nakahilo to eh. Nahilo din ako. Ayan. You can know of something false that it is false. But to know something is to know something to be true. And you can't know something to be true unless it is, which is to say, you can't know something unless it is not false. You can only say something that it is false only because you know what is true. You cannot say you can only say something is fake because you know you have a concept of what is real. I hope you're getting me. So again, the correct answer is no. Congratulations sa ilang piraso at ilang response to na nag-no. 26 of you answered no, 59.1%. Yung nagsabi ng yes ay 18, it's okay. It's okay. Hindi kasi literal ang ano nito. When we look at it literally, again, sa question and answer na yes or no, hindi. You may reason literally, but again, ang tinitignan ko dito ay itong question mismo, itong answer na yes or no. Is too much, of course. Kapag too much skepticism na, delikado kasi sabi ko nga, according to Rene Descartes, not everything can be doubted. When we ascribe to faith, for example, faith should never start with doubt. Faith muna, and then kung may ida-doubt ka, tsaka si doubt. But in terms of philosophy, we always begin with doubt. Why? Because our goal is certainty. Kasi again, pag ako ay pumasok sa classroom, hindi ako si teacher na punong-puno ng knowledge. Ako si philosopher na naghahanap din ng wisdom. Ayan. So baka may statement ako, for example, that should be questioned. Ayan. Pwedeng hindi nyo tanong sa akin directly, pwedeng tanongin nyo yung sarili ninyo and then you search for the answer. That's how you can be sure that what I am saying is certain. Sa science, hindi pwede. May goodness, apply nyo yan sa physics, ewan ko lang. I-apply nyo yan sa chemistry. There is something there that you cannot doubt. Diba? Oh, ayan. So, yun yung kaibahan. Sa philosophy, pwede. Pero pagdating sa mga sciences, hindi. Okay? Sinapply nyo kay Sir, kay Sir Joben. Sir Jobs, ang nyo, physics nyo, no? Sabi ni Sir Epi, doubt namin lahat. At Sir Jobs, dinout namin. Lagot kayo. Alright, so any other questions? Kindly open your webcam. Let's take our screenshot. Medyo naghahabol ako ng oras kasi may webinar. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, I am encouraging you to read your textbook, pages 28 to 48. Magugulat na lang kayo, biglang may tanong ako galing doon. Graded recitation pala. Okay, so wala na yung question. Let me end the recording. Thank you for listening. Thank you for asking questions earlier. And have a